on the list. You know, your tires, wheel bearings, brakes, you know, oiling, waxing your chain, lubricating your drive system, changing the oil, spark plugs. You know, all of these things are preventive maintenance. Adjusting your valves, all of these things, you know, they got to be done. Servicing your air filter, all of this stuff, guys. And just talking about that, you know, I had a customer bring me. He said, "Man, my motorcycle it was leaking oil, but I fixed it. But but it started leaking again." It's like, all right, let me check it out. Well, this happened to have been, it was a Ninja, and it was a Ninja, and it had the oil filter was inside it's inside a housing on the bottom of the crankcase, right? And it's not like a spin on and off filter. It's in its own casing. It has a rod that goes through it with the spring inside and two O-rings and an O-ring around the casing. And you take the rod out and you take the whole assembly off and you pull the fuel filter out. You put a new fuel filter in. You put the fuel filter has one new seal on it, and then there's another O-ring and another seal that goes on that. And you an O-ring goes on the rod, and an O-ring goes on the actual oil filter housing, right? And it goes all back up in there, and it screws back together. Now, that's why it was leaking. I know this because an O-ring goes bad, oil starts to leak out. So what does this gentleman do? Whenever I look down underneath his motorcycle, there's probably like 5 or 6 freaking tubes, helpings of JB Weld stacked like a volcano, upside down volcano coming down off of his motorcycle. So I was like, and then on top of that, you had oil dripping out of this. So I was like, oh, dude, just leave it with me. I mean, you're just going to have to pay me by the hour. You know, we charge $90 an hour. At the time we charged right at $70 an hour, right? So you're just going to have to pay me by the hour to chip all this JB Weld off, okay? So I did that. It took me about 2 hours to get that apart, get it all cleaned up, because then I had to take it apart. Then I had to sandblast the outside of the parts to get the rest of the JB Weld off. Then I had to clean everything up, go ahead and change his oil, put a new oil filter in his bike. Now, not to mention the O-ring that originally needed to be replaced was $1.30. That's what was leaking. Now, let's say he spent $15 times 5. He spent $75 on JB Weld, guys, to try to fix a $1.30 part, okay? And on top of that, he's paid me $180 at the end of the day to change the oil in his bike. I mean, come on. That was something I think I was charging like $50, $60 to do. So there you go, man. I mean, size up the people that be working on your motorcycle, because this is the way that I look at every single motorcycle that I would put hands on. I would look at it like it was my motorcycle and I was going to be the person riding it from here to Sturgis, or from here to work, or from here to go pick up my kid from school, or whatever. You know what I mean? Or if you're going to put a female on the back, you know what I mean? Things like this I take into consideration. Just like it's my bike, that I want it to be as safe as it can be, as mechanically sound as it can be before you hit the road on it. And I have seen some motherfucking rattling trap rickety motherfuckers that shouldn't be even be able to allowed on the road. And that's why, I mean, we have safety inspection and stuff like that for this reason. But I mean, some of these bikes are just some people. Like, I don't think they even had a license plate on them and stuff like that. So hey, like I said, you know, one idiot can make us all look bad. We're gonna persist, and we're gonna move on, and we're gonna overcome the negativity, and we're gonna keep on riding, man. Because guess what? The destination, fuck it, it doesn't really matter where you're going, man. It's about the ride. It's about the journey. It's about the fellowship, right? Oh, yeah. So pre-diagnosis by customer, it's nice. It's good to know your bike and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, let your mechanic do his job and make damn sure that you're not just You don't have just some parts changer changing out parts because, what that initially, what that's going to do is this. Let's say you bring your motorcycle to, a real mechanic, a real technician, a real engineer versus a parts changer. A parts changer is going to say, okay, I replaced this master cylinder, right? That was $150. But guess what? Now I need to replace the slave cylinder or put a kit in it. And then he's going to tell you that that's like $130, and you give him that. And then you go to pick up your bike, and he's like, "Oh yeah, guess what? It needed a new line in between. It was swelling. You notice it was swelling. Now I need that's another $40." See, the difference is that a good mechanic, a good technician, a good engineer will look at your whole motorcycle collectively, and if they put hands on it before, they're going to keep a record. See, that's real important too. You don't understand that whenever a mechanic, a technician, an engineer looks at your motorcycle, they check it out, they do whatever to it. Not only, if you're like me, work on thousands of motorcycles, you rely on, your notes. Not only I would keep notes so that I could spread my time, I would have a spreadsheet of the whole day, of the minutes of every day, so that I could manage my time wisely whenever I wasn't acting a working service manager, which means I would write up everything and then I would actually knock out the jobs also. And whenever you're doing that, time management means a lot. When to tear this motorcycle down, or to see what parts it needs, to order those parts. And while those parts are coming in, I can finish up, this other big job. And while I'm finishing up that other big job, I can be bringing in some more customers. And again, a good mechanic will look at your whole bike from top to bottom, and when you come pick it up, he's going to let you know, look, or a real good mechanic's going to do this. They're going to call you and they're going to say, look, man, you dropped your motorcycle off because you said you thought that the spokes were loose, but yes, your spokes are loose. We need to re-true up your wheels, but you also, man, you need new wheel bearings, you need brakes, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, that is what you're looking for. What you're looking for also is a mechanic that will have, and I still do this because I'm old school. And the last set of bearings that I replace, I'll have your old bearings in the new bearing box, or your old brake pads in the new brake pad box, just to show you. You know what I'm saying? That I don't know. I guess I have 4 sisters, and I'll always tell them, ask for your old parts. You know what I mean? Because we know. I mean, a classic example is this. There's a mechanic there in Houston, and I went to, I was just like hanging out over there at lunchtime one day, and it was a friend. It was a friend, and we were just like BSing or whatever, maybe smoking a fatty, and he was like, he went and he put a new clutch cable on this badass Mustang GT, because he was riding it around to make sure that the clutch cable was right. I was like, well, damn, dude, how much you charge to put a clutch cable in this car? Oh, he's like, $750. I said, $750 fucking dollars? He was like, well, look, man, it's like this. If I don't charge enough, then they think something's suspicious. So it just needed a clutch cable. And this guy's normally, he's just used to giving me $1,000 every time I work on his car. So I just said, fuck it. Just charge him $750 and tell him transmission service, a clutch cable. So I think, I do not believe in that, man. I knew a mechanic one time that I was at his house one day, and it was just a shade tree mechanic, and he was like washing this Mustang. What is it with Mustang? If you drive a Mustang, I guess mechanics think they can shice you around. And so he was washing, just scrubbing the shit out of this Mustang, vacuuming the inside and everything. I was like, what's up, man? He was like, this is this girl, she's getting ready to go to college, and this they had bought this car from the car dealership, and they wanted me to do fucking like $1,000 worth of service to it. And he said, I checked all the fluids and everything looked great, dude. They just did all this shit at the used car dealer, probably. He said, so I'm just gonna charge them $1,000 and fucking wash the shit out of it, detail it all out. And that's all he did. He scrubbed the car real good, checked the fluids, and fucking charged him $1,000. So you got to be careful of that, man. I can tell you that whenever I bought a new motorcycle and had to have the dealership service it, I would put little spot of grease on the screws that I knew that they had to take out of my bike, so that if that hadn't been tampered with whenever I went to pick my bike up, then we had some issues, Jack. I'm saying, you hear me? I'm saying. Oh, so yeah, parts is a little bit frustrating, getting the right parts, and that's why I say you got to get to know your bike. I mean, the guy looking at the computer is a good person to know. Get on his good side. Take him donuts. If you drive a Kawasaki and the local Kawasaki dealership opens at 9 o'clock on Saturday, take them a box of donuts, man. It ain't gonna hurt. If that's where you bought your motorcycle, especially. You know, hopefully they're taking care of you. You hear me? I'm saying? Hopefully they're making sure that they're suiting all your needs and everything. But everyone gets freaking caught up in that damn rat race, and it's real hard to find good counter people that understand motorcycles, four wheelers. There's a lot of different ones out there. Even I'm not making excuses, guys. We'll make something happen. That's why I say, you've got to be the one that knows exactly what part you need if that's what you're trying to get. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, anything like that, then that's why I will get with some of the reputable sources that I'm familiar with and see if maybe we can pick up a little sponsorship for the show. Maybe they can throw you guys a little bit of a discount. Right, you hear me? I'm saying? But just one last little story I've got for you all before we go. A, man, wear your helmet. I want to see you guys live. Don't you want to see your grandkids grow up? And if you don't have grandkids, don't you want to live to see having some grandkids someday? Wear your helmet, man. It doesn't take much. Fucking Swami helmet, flip up, costs $600. Have you priced brain surgery lately? So yes, I'm on 20-something years ago, this little hottie body calls me, and she's at this fancy-ass hotel in Houston, and she's like, I got us a room for the night, and this and that, and some champagne, and I was like, what's up? I was on that CBR. So, wow, a CBR, a 600, that's super nasty. We'll get into that another day. If you've ever seen somebody take a 900 CBR 900 engine and stuff it into a little 600, well, that's basically what we did. Put it all back together and made it look. It was a sleeper from hell. Anyway, the CBR, take it. I'm like, it's put it this way, custom painted, beautiful custom painted. This bike was solid yellow and purple, all yellow and purple. I'll get up to this fancy ass hotel in Houston. I don't want to say the name. I thought about it earlier. I can't say the name, but rhymes with scary yacht. But I get to this badass hotel for me, and you know what I'm saying? Hey, come on. And I get there and I'll pull it up to I'll go ahead and pull up past where the valet parking is, to where the guys are standing, and there's a grading where it looks like maybe a drain or something, like a storm drain. And so I parked right near it. And the valet guy, whenever I was getting off my CBR, he's walking up there and he's like, hey, man, you can't park your motorcycle there. And he's handing me a valet ticket for the key. I was like, well, where do you want me to park it? And he says, no, man, all right, I'll park it. I'll park it right over there with the cars and stuff right around the corner, but we can't leave it right here in front of the hotel. I was like, all right, cool. So I put my helmet, grabbed my bag, off the back, had it, and my little overnight bag strapped to the back. I grabbed it and my helmet, put my helmet in the helmet bag. And I proceed to head to the up to the hotel room. And man, I didn't get like 3 feet away, and I heard that bike just redline, just wah, and I heard it thud. I was like, oh hell no! I turned around the corner, and the dude had